Hello and welcome to No Stupid Questions, Just Marketing Ones. I'm your host, Jaina Mystery, an email and content marketing strategist with nearly 20 years of experience. I've led email and content programs at Litmus, and now I help brands build email and content strategies that actually connect. Think of this podcast as your agony aunt column for marketing, the place where I take the real questions that keep you up at night and answer them with curiosity, empathy, and just enough smart to make it fun. So if you have ever spiraled over open rates, rewritten the same landing page 17 billion times, or wondered if your brand voice sounds like it has anxiety, you're in the right place. In this episode, I'm going to answer a question sent in by Keegan Flood from Indiana. Keegan asks, should brands start to relax on getting their emails pixel perfect? With the rise of AI and consumers disliking it, everyone wants a human experience. And wouldn't a less than perfect experience almost be charming and refreshing? I see a lot of brands taking their mistakes and turning them into incredible content. So just curious if we're seeing a shift in the industry away from perfection and towards true human content. And to help me answer this question, I have invited the wonderful Israel Rawi. Isra is a retention and growth marketer who's driven over $120 million in revenue for D2C brands through email and SMS strategies. After scaling her own e-commerce venture, she now helps small business owners master email deliverability and conversions by empowering them through data-driven revenue strategies, landing in the inbox, and building profitable businesses with integrity. Thank you so much for helping me answer Keegan's question today, Isra.
I'm super excited to be here.
I read this question and I was like, I need someone who can really get to the crux of this question because it feels like a fun one to do.
Give you all her past mistakes.
So awesome. So the first thing I kind of want to dive into here is when people say pixel perfect, what do they really mean by creating a pixel perfect email? And what's the cost of creating something and focusing so heavily on making it pixel perfect?
So when I think of Pixel Perfect, or the experience I've had is, think of it like a catalog worthy email. So like a beautiful magazine with a beautiful layout. Everything looks perfect. The product placement, the wording, the texting, the text message, text, copyright text in there, the branding, all of that, colors, everything is just cohesive. It's beautiful. That's what I think of. And that's what the experience has been with especially D2C brands that really just want beautiful emails. And while that's awesome, I am of the school of conversion over, what is it? Conversion over like pretty pictures.
Yes, me too.
The cost there is you're trading basically your, not just cost of like creating this stuff, but like the cost of like hiring, employees to do this type of work without really thinking about like what is the end result, what's the end goal, like is the end goal to drive an email your subscribers inbox and make them, take a double take and be in awe of your beautiful image. And we see this a lot too, Jaina. You've seen it on like
Yeah.
LinkedIn where people post, this is a gorgeous email template. I'm like, yeah, but did it convert? What did it do for you?
Yes.
So if you're
Yeah.
investing like $400 or $500 per email to create, what's your return on that? And that's
Yes.
where cost trade-off there is. A lot of D2C businesses will focus heavily on design and being on brand, but they're trading off like the actual what drives results, what drives conversions. So that's where I think of it when it says pixel perfect email, and then you have the trade off of like what are you willing to sacrifice for that picture perfect email. So
Yeah. And I kind of think exactly the same way. And I want to dive into one area that you briefly spoke about. It was like the resources required to create something that's pixel perfect and having that stress be on you. I've worked in teams and for companies where they want every single email to have that pixel perfection. So you're spending more time in design, you're spending more time QAing the email. If something in that final test is one little pixel off, it feels like you have to go back to the drawing board and go and redo the whole process again. So you're spending more time in that email creation process without actually sending the email. And email is a little bit of a volume game in the sense like you want to
Mhm.
keep sending emails, so that the email creation process needs to be somewhat predictable. It needs to be easy to do so you can create all of those emails for your different segments, for your different audiences, for whatever you need it to be. And by thinking you need every single email to be pixel perfect means that you are, I think, spending too much time on that email creation process.
And if you think about it, your email channel is your communication channel. So if you're putting all these hurdles in place, you're not shipping out fast enough and you could be delayed. So like you'll have time, especially like with Q4 coming up, you'll have time where you need a fast turnaround. You need the 24 to 48 hours. Everybody's hands on deck. Everybody understands that. But if you have the designer, the copywriter, the person who puts it in, the one that checks the HTML, the one that tests, that's a lot of hurdles. I've been on teams where it takes weeks to just ship out one email. And well, that's kind of why we designed our agency to be like a fast turnaround agency because we want to get you conversions versus just pretty emails. And that's why, clients do stick around because we're not doing 1 to 2 emails a week. We're doing about 3 to 4. Sometimes I've gone up to 11 emails a week we've done, but it's strategic, it's fluid, it's fast, and it's automated where we're not focusing so heavily on design, but on communication and getting the right information in the subscriber's hands to convert them. Um, and that's a problem. Like when you put hurdles down because you want something pretty. I keep saying pretty, and everybody, I get pretty. You can have pretty and you can have conversions. Yes, I agree. But you need to compromise somewhere because what I've seen is the heavier on brand and like the pixel perfect ones take a lot of team effort and a lot of time and a lot of money. And sometimes you don't return you were looking for.
Yeah, and often that pixel perfection might not be pixel perfection everywhere. And I'm of the school like you should be okay with that, but I
Yeah,
also know there are some organizations who are not okay with that, who still want that pixel perfection.
yeah. Like
So it's
you're never gonna get a
it's tough.
perfect outlook.
No, no, never.
Another reason why you shouldn't go through like image heavy and all that, branding and coloring is because email is meant to be a text to text, basically communication channel. So sticking to text more helps you communicate better and really deliverability side, it helps you inbox faster, smoother, better and better conversions. Uh, So yeah, like you said, it's never going to be perfect. So
And it's all about email. Like you said, email is all about clarity. You want to get your message across in the most efficient way possible. So I love that. So it looks like we're both on board. We both believe pixel perfection in email is not at all worth striving towards. What about like I think what this question is going for is those like fake mistake tactics that I think we've both seen in our inboxes, that we've seen across LinkedIn, that we've seen people sharing as like this amazing campaign or this amazing mistake that got turned into a super fun campaign.
mhm.
Those, to me, those are very performative errors and they can erode trust, brand trust instantly. And I think we don't do our audiences, we don't give them enough respect. And audiences today can smell manipulation a mile off. So where do you land on this idea of like fake mistakes, turning them into these amazing campaigns? And I can see a smile on your face, so I know you have some thoughts on this.
The first time the first person did it, it's not cute anymore.
Yes.
Like you said, treating your subscribers with respect. The longer I've done this, the more I've realized just be transparent, truthful, and honest. Because if you're treating if you're treating your subscriber like they have no idea anything going on with your business outside of that email they're receiving, then you're the fool here because they do. And like we've talked about this before about like Reddit's, group channels. People share information and they know like this is not an oopsie. You just here I'm slipping you a discount. My boss doesn't know he's gonna fire me. Like that's one of the worst ones. The reply and forward emails to those are deceptive and they just drive me crazy. But like your audience knows now. I think a lot of businesses think that we still live in like this little bubble of like marketing and like their customers and subscribers outside of this bubble really don't understand these tactics. But they're being utilized not just in email, they're utilized on social medias and in groups and chats, and I'm like, people know, like, it's kinda tacky at this point to even go that route. So I'm very adamant about, if we're gonna give a discount, just be truthful about it. And if we are gonna set a deadline, we're gonna be truthful about that, because you're also crossing into FTC law issues there. But the more we have been stringent about, like, keeping within our timelines and being honest with our subscribers, the higher trust and engagement we've gotten from our subscribers and our email list. And I think we're still struggling with, I still see businesses struggle with this, because the quick sale might be great, but the long-term damage is just, it's hard to come back from sometimes, so.
So, and then what do you do if you have made a real mistake? We both worked in email marketing long enough to have made our fair share of mistakes. I've made my share of my own. But the one thing that I think I, from the email sending perspective, is own it, fix it, and move on, and don't milk it, because it's not beneficial to the audience. To me,
We've had mistakes where the client gave us the wrong URL and we sent the email went out, it was scheduled. I am not gonna be, I think there's a stigma of, like, email marketers are always on to fix mistakes. So, like, we've had, like, scheduled emails with the wrong URLs, and they go out, and the client, the business owner is like, "Hey, we made a mistake. We need to change the URL." If we can change it on our side, like reroute that wrong URL to a right one, so, like, when they open the email and click, they get rerouted, we will fix it that way. If we cannot, we will pause and then resend the email again. There's no foul or, like, harm of resending the email, like, 5 minutes later if you made an oopsie that will impact some type of for conversion. If I accidentally, made a typo, or I've had clients who are like, "Oh my god, there's two spaces between the two words," and I'm like, "Let it go. You're not gonna get, there's a grammatical error." Sometimes we'll have, like, a customer reply. But the nice thing about those is those little things that don't impact, like, the engagement aspect really show your human side. Like, this was built by a human. This was done by a human. I don't like the whole stigma now, like these big companies, like, our intern made this mistake. I'm like, just own to it. Stop blaming
yeah,
it on the intern. It's
yeah,
okay. Like, this shows, like, it's being built by actual people versus, a bot, or, you're not really putting any thought into it, which is nice, because then you'd get replies, and replies are actually positive feedback for your deliverability anyway. So that really opens up, like, more conversation with your customers, and it may lead to something even bigger. So I welcome, sometimes, mistakes happen. Also, as email marketers who are always working in these business accounts, we are blinded by our work. And one thing I've actually done, like, as a control, I've hired, like, outside that have nothing to do with our business. They don't touch our business, they have no idea, and I will send them those emails. They proofread them, because I can look at something 100 times and it looks perfect, and then that proofreader will be like, "Hey, this looks, oh my god, you caught the mistakes," which is nice. But, like, that's something we put in place for, like, really, really big businesses that, you know, value that, like, quality control. So
yeah,
we do that. But again, those little mistakes that don't impact engagement and conversions, we don't really pause and resend or retract or send, a follow-up for, because it happens. Those are emails. That's what emails are for. However, if it's something like that will impact, like, if we give out the wrong deadline for something, or if we put in the wrong product, which rarely happens, or the URL needs to be rerouted, or something that will break the email, basically, we will pause and resend, and we will own up to our mistakes. That's the only way, the route to go, to really continue to build that trust with your subscribers nowadays. Using deception and, like, blaming it on somebody on your team, it's just silly at this point. Like,
yeah,
we're grown up. We're all grown adults. I'm
yes,
hoping you're building your business, with some type of responsibility. It's okay. It's a business. There's a lot of moving parts. So,
yeah.
yeah, I welcome little mistakes. It makes us human.
Yeah,
Um, so
it's like when you're trying to cut something in a straight line, you're using a pair of scissors and you kind of just totally not in a straight line. Like, you know, a human's cut there, and that's not been. I cannot cut anything straight, and my husband loves that about me.
I'm left-handed, and we'd only have right-handed scissors, and that's, like, my biggest I've chopped so many family pictures you don't wanna know. Like
Yeah, my husband knows when I've cut a loaf of bread because it's not at all in a straight line. So, yeah. Anyway, back on track. She's talking about what people remember, what our audiences remember in the inbox, what the customers remember, what the subscribers remember. I feel like there's a little bit of a myth, the idea that one single bad experience from a brand that sent you an email, like a link is wrong or an image is broken,
yeah.
is going to instantly turn them off your brand. Mostly because people don't read emails. They scan them, they see what's, and if something's broken, I truly, and I've done this plenty of times with emails that I've received. Like a link's not broke. If a single link is broken, I'll find something else in the email. If I'm really interested in the email, I'll find another link to click in the email. So if people aren't remembering these mistakes that happen in emails,
Mhm.
what do they remember in those emails? Like, what is memorable to them that, like, maybe a pixel that they're not fussed about pixel perfection?
I think the most memorable part of an email is how you leave a reader feeling.
Mm.
I think that's, always overlooked, and just to go back to your point about mistakes in an email or, like, if I could have done it better, the only people who are criticizing those are other email marketers.
Yeah.
Email marketers' friends, like, this is why I'm like, I don't even take that stuff seriously anymore because it's like we're critical of our own work, but the reader themselves are looking at this email from the benefit that it provides to them, the value, and that all really ties into the emotional. So like most memorable emails for us were the ones that were like screenshotted or replied to and said, "This really made me feel this." And those are positive signals for us because we know that we're not just selling a product to a customer or subscriber, we're actually saying what they're thinking or feeling, and it makes them feel seen. So to me, like when we craft emails, I have a step process, a 5-step process, and one of them is what emotion does this invoke in our subscribers and how are they going to feel when they read this? Because we need to set a goal of like what is the purpose of this campaign and what do we want them to feel and who are we really trying to talk to, which bucket of customers here. But the one thing that leaves, and I've never had and somebody email me and be like, "Oh my god, this email is so beautiful. I want more of it." It was always like, "This email made me feel this way. Thank you." Or "Thank you for this reminder to be like more easy on ourselves," or "I'm so happy that you sent this testimonial, it made me buy it made you remind me to buy this product because, some people times people forget like the product really does work for them and they just need a reminder to like so it's always about creating that emotional drive. So the emotion drives the action. And I think a lot of brands, as they get bigger, they forget. And this
Mm.
is something like we like to keep bringing them back because the process does get more complex as you grow. But the core of that business should always be like, how does our business, our brand, our products really make our customers feel?
And I think that emotional connection is what a lot of marketers, I don't want to say a lot of marketers actually, it's what marketers tend to forget about what they're doing. Especially in this day and age when our audiences and customers are getting bombarded through social media, through ads on their TV, through email. Everything is shouting at them, and you want to be a brand that can show up in the inbox and have emotional resonance with your audience so that when they see your brand name, they can remember, oh, I saw that great email or I saw that great social post and it made me feel this way about that brand. And so I love what you say about having that emotional, like that connection, that feeling that you want customers to walk away from when they've read your email.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of businesses are scared to be vulnerable, and there is a fine line. I mean, you can stay professional and say what your customers and subscribers want to hear, and not get too close either. But I think it takes a lot of courage from the business top management to allow you to do that. But once they see like results, like a lot of our clients, once they see the results come in, the conversions, the retention, increase, they kind of let go of the ego part of like, oh, we have to look like a big business and, we just sell products. You know what I mean? It's kind of nice, but it takes time. And I think we don't talk enough about that part in email marketing. um, I work on the deliverability side and we talk about positive signals, and strategy really drives better deliverability. And people forget that. Like when we create emails, we're not just talking about, having great records and clean lists. We're talking about how do we get those positive signals in the inbox once our email's there.
A lot of those positive signals are simply driven by consistently showing up in the inbox
Mhm.
with great content. And I don't necessarily we talked briefly about email being a little bit of a volume game, but there is I don't expect someone to open every single one of the emails that I send, but they're probably going to see them in the inbox. They're going to open a few of them and they're going to engage with a smaller portion of them. But I want every single one of I want to consistently just be there in the inbox. And I think that is something that a lot of people forget about email marketing too. They think it's all just solely about the opens, the clicks, the conversions. Sometimes it truly is just about showing up in the inbox. And I think that's a little bit overlooked. And I think that's where perhaps the idea of pixel perfection can be forgotten and deliverability instead is something that marketers should be more focused on.
Yeah, and I think a lot of especially D2C businesses forget that you can go beyond product collection, promotion sales. Like when I owned my brand, we did a monthly trivia. I owned a
Fun.
I owned a cat accessory brand for humans. So, I mean, I wanted because our shipping was a little longer, I wanted to keep that engagement going. So what I did was we did 1 week trivia. So we'll ask a question about cats, give you four answers, answer, if you answer, you get your name put in a bucket. We draw at the end of the month, you win like $50 or something like that.
Super
And
fun.
we kept that going. And it was one of the most popular emails because it doesn't sell you anything. It engages you. It touches on the interest of our audience, but like you can interact and gamify. We did like silly jokes Friday where we just kind of sent funny, just two liners, literally like the joke and then like, something about like having a great weekend. We, of course, embedded our shop links in there, but it was never a sales email, but it brought in sales. So, like, you
Yeah.
can create a community through your emails and be interactive and be, interesting enough for people to look for your emails in your inbox versus just like hoping they see it or using, one of those scam injections where they
Ugh,
force yourself into the primary. Um,
yes.
sorry.
Are you there?
That sold, like, every week, it's crazy. But, like, you can make the effort of doing something more for your subscribers than just sell them your products. And these are really simple emails. They don't
Yes.
require pixel, they don't require any of that.
And if you have a very strong knowledge of who and what your brand is, those sorts of emails should come very easily to you. There's a brand out there called Soft Services. They're a skincare product. They do buff bars, they do moisturizers, they do all sorts of other things. And they're one of the few companies that I've seen out there that actually have a newsletter. And their newsletter isn't just a paragraph and then you're sent to their website. It is a full-on newsletter that talks about their products, but it doesn't sell you their products. And they do it in a very interesting way that is very informative. And I think that's something that I need to, like, as a consumer and as a fan of that brand, I like being informed about what's in their products, how their products work, why I should care about them. They use reviews and stories about like why someone out there has had like a life-changing experience with their products. And so I'm not being sold to in a very direct way, but but I'm still being aware of their brand and understanding how their products work. And I think that's a great way to scale the humanity behind your brand without pretending to be the consumer's. BFF kind of thing. Like you create that warmth through really informative content that creates that level of trust too, without like being too intimate again with the consumers, because that can lead to bad
Right.
things as well.
So like those are UGC and testimonials are actually our highest revenue drivers, and we don't sell in them. We just drop our customers' feedback. Typically, what I like to do, I like to pick a product and pick 3 testimonials that were like life changing around the product, and that's it. Like we just drop the testimonials, give you a link, knock yourself out. Blog posts. So like instead of newsletters, we do like a lot of my clients will have like blog posts. I'm like, drive people to your blog posts. They're informative. We do questions of the month. Like those are informative. You can do that. But like back to your point of like the trade-off, like instead of investing in heavy designs around products, why not invest in a team that creates this type of content? The content engine gets pushed back to the like basically the bottom of the list where, where the team actually hires more for like image heavy and design. And it should be the opposite. Like you should scale content. You shouldn't scale imagery and branded. Like at some point people will know who you are and will associate that, but the content aspect is really well worth investing in because that really will drive your revenue and retention more than just having a catalog of.
Imagine, again, I'm just thinking, like, imagine being a brand where your audience knows you through your content. Like, they can understand, like, they'll read something, they'll watch a video, they instantly know it versus like brand colors. I think there's some fun you can have with that too. You can really play around with that, and I think that helps again with email's real job, and that is using honest touches in the inbox to stay top of mind and be useful to the audience. I think that's the one thing that people also tend to forget about email. It's just like
Yeah.
staying
And
top of mind with your audience.
I mean, at some point, your customers and subscribers understand you're a like a large business, or you're growing. They don't have to be close in the sense like they're close to the founders or like the early team, but they can build a connection with like the content team or build a connection with your customer service experience. Like they will build some type of relationship with the company, but it doesn't have to be so close to like the CEO or the CMO or whoever is in charge. Like, you know what I mean? So that content can be scaled and the subscribers and customers can still feel close to the brand without needing that like personal connection.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like this is probably I feel like this is a perfect, nice little segue into like wrapping things up too, because I feel like we've covered the pixel perfection, we've covered the
Mhm.
idea of being authentic in the inbox and what that really means. So I'll say that for this question, Keegan, shipping clarity is way more important than shipping perfect emails. If the message is clear and it actually inboxes, you're 80% of the way there with your email program for sure. And authenticity beats out anything performative in marketing, especially nowadays. I think more so with things like AI roaming around out there, influencers trying to get you to like trick you into buying products too. I feel like that's another thing that I kind of can spot a mile away. But like, fix the real mistakes fast. Don't role play that oops for clicks. It's just not going to be worth it in the long run. And stick to the truth in your copy and create a brand where people are looking forward to your emails because of what you're helping them make them feel and what you're offering them versus what you're selling them. And I think that's the important thing that we're trying to say here. It's like the sale will come, but you want to be able to create a connection with them through email first, and then maybe, hopefully, more sales will come. So, thank you, Isra, so much for joining me. This was a great conversation. Before you go, I have a couple of questions for you, which I'm hoping you can answer. First one, super random, but I'm asking everyone this. What is your favorite pizza topping? You're the second person to say pineapple, and I am officially disgusted by email
I'm
marketers and
sorry,
marketers
but
out there.
like big sweet sour or salty sweet. Like
I get that. I get that. Okay. Okay. So we have another pineapple on pizza topping. I'll have to
I
deal
know
with that.
don't show this to my Italian uh customers. I'll probably be disgusted too.
And the second question I want to ask you is, what is the best piece of advice you have ever received? And this doesn't have to be solely in marketing. It could be any piece of advice that you've received.
The best advice I've ever received and kind of have taken it to heart is what's the worst that could happen when you make decisions? If it's not dangerous enough to kill you or, cause some type of injury to you or the people around you, go ahead and pursue what you want to pursue. And I think that kind of launched me into my entrepreneurial career and marketing career, and really helped me, s- you know, take off my entire business because I'm not opposed to trying anything and everything because at the end of the day, what's the worst that could happen?
That is great advice. That's also a great title for a podcast. So if you're ever if you ever wanted to
We should probably do like what's the worst that can happen? Email edition.
yes. And then lastly, how and where can people find you?
I am So I'm not big on social media except maybe LinkedIn. LinkedIn is where you can find me if you follow me on social media. You can reach out to me on Unfortunately, I'm still on X just for business purposes. Instagram, we have the Winbox there as well. And we do have our website, thewinbox.com. We have ways for you to reach out to us or book a strategy call. We are developing our blog there as well. There's a couple of free resources for people to look into. But yeah, you can mainly find me on LinkedIn.
And Isra is a great follower on LinkedIn. Please follow her. She's lovely. She's got some snap. She's got some sass in the best possible way. So thank you so much again for joining me, Isra. If you have a question you're not sure who to ask, send it my way. You'll find the submission link in the show notes. And if you liked this episode, subscribe and tell all of your marketing friends. Season 1 is up in its entirety. And remember, there are no stupid questions, just marketing ones.